Welcome to the latest episode of the Credit Union Business News Podcast, the only all business, all digital resource for credit unions. This episode is sponsored by Bator Training and Consulting. We create environments where employees actually want to come to work and members want to keep coming back. I'm Kbator, and I am your host for Credit Union Business News Podcast, and I have a great guest today. And before I even tell you about the great guest, I want to just say how happy I am to be back here, starting off in a big way with a great guest for Season 2. So this is awesome to be back with you. Well, let me tell you about Joe Tedesco. He is the CEO of Ocean Financial Federal Credit Union out in Long Island, New York, and he has been the CEO for about 2 years now. I'm sure it's been an interesting 2 years, and we're going to talk about that. But he has an extensive background in banking. We're not going to hold that against him here on the Credit Union Business News Podcast. But Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Ken. Welcome back. We're all excited to be getting back to more normal life here. So,
yeah, especially in New York where you are, in Los Angeles where I am, man. It was starting to turn into an episode of The Walking Dead when I was walking out there some days.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm happen to be a fan of that show, so I know exactly what you're talking about.
I am too. Hey, that's probably the most important question. Forget all the questions that I gave you about credit union stuff. Walking Dead is ending. What are we going to do, man?
There's so much stuff out there. It's incredible. And the one good thing that's come with the pandemic is, you started to realize all the great content out there. So I said to my wife, we're actually going to have to now leave the house and not sit inside watching Queen's Gambit and what's it called? Schitt's Creek and all those other shows that we've been diving through. I think my wife is watching that one for the second time.
Yeah. It's well, fortunately, I've still been kind of busy, and we get friends that come over. Hey, did you see this show? It's like, I don't have time to watch that much stuff, especially now that we're coming out of this. But not to take us back down a bad memory lane, but I know New York obviously was one of the regions that was not only hit hard, but was hit early in this pandemic and very quickly. How did it affect Ocean Financial, both from a staff and membership perspective?
Yeah, so I'll start where those of us in the credit union world always start, and that's with members, right? So, listen, obviously in this side of the industry, our members like to come in and see somebody in person, and as our membership base tends to be a more elderly membership base, and so they're especially used to coming into the branches to see people, and so it was an adjustment for them. I know, the first couple of weeks I was even out in the drive-through just trying to show people how to use a drive up, and you would think that over all their years they would have at some point used it, and pointing out where the night drop was, and just talking to people about other ways they could make deposits, either mobile or through the ATM. So it was, I think it was impactful for the members, certainly in that one-on-one contact that they have. The other side of it is we are a Catholic credit union. So a big part of our membership base is servicing the parishes in Nassau County and throughout Long Island. Well, they were just decimated. All of a sudden, just nobody coming in the building and not able to come in the building. So they took a huge hit in terms of their giving and their ability to support themselves. And then you combine that with a number of the parishes have schools attached. They dealt with the school issue. So it was really, trying to work with those parishes through the process. On the employee side, I was really proud of the team and how quickly they adjusted. Those who were not coming in adjusted to working remotely. We have a great IT department. We were ready. We flipped the switch and things worked very effectively. And then there were those of us that continued to come in to the branches every day, mostly my teller team. Really proud of them. I don't think they get the recognition, by the way, that they should get as frontline workers. In fact, one of my pet peeves is, it took them a while to get on the list for shots here in New York, but we won't jump into that. They continue to come in every day, and I was coming in every day. So just a real adjustment for them. And then, not only are they trying to service members through the drive-through, but they are then trying to keep commerce going. Faxes are coming in and things are getting scanned. And so people had to just jump in, and we're a little credit union, 39 employees. So everybody just kind of had to pick it up and do what they needed to do. So really proud of them in doing it. Luckily, we did not have a lot of impact in terms of the virus itself, which is a good thing, especially in an area where, from a percentage standpoint, you probably would have expected it. We had a couple of scares which we handled, but proud of the team, and proud that we were able to continue to service members. So.
Yeah. Well, as a Catholic myself, I was able to have a good excuse for my mom for not going to church for a
Right.
while. Don't know if
Right.
that still worked, but
We'll put in a plug for the Catholic Faith Network. We're a big sponsor, Monsignor Blonde. You can go out on TV. So
good to know. Thanks, Joe. Now I've got absolutely no excuses. Yeah, that's now that's one thing that's going to go on the editing floor, at least if my mom watches this. But yeah, great point, especially on the staff. And I've heard this so many times in so many conversations I've had with credit unions, that 9 times out of 10, the staff really, really stepped up. 1 out of 10, maybe not so much, but 9 out of 10, yeah, they really came through. And that's also understanding that they're dealing with the pandemic. Their kids may be home. They may have an elderly person that they're worried about it, and they're still stepping up and coming in. I completely agree with you on the way I put it, putting that frontline staff on a pedestal for everything that they did.
Absolutely. And you made a great point. They're dealing with it themselves, right? The fear and the concern, and so to come in and put that face on every day is a credit to them. We always talk about the fact that when those doors open or that phone rings, we're on stage, and never more so than during the pandemic, and still today.
Absolutely. You mentioned that you spent time in the drive-through and other places, coaching some of your, let's say, older members to do some of the transactions in a different, more technological way. I've heard from a number of credit unions that one of the kind of ridiculous benefits of this, if there actually, you could say there's a benefit from the pandemic, is in a good way, it forced a number of their members and even their board members to technology because they had no choice. After years and years of trying to, slowly and gently push them to it, it's like, now they had to do it. So, as you're getting out of this pandemic, as we're getting out of this issue, are you seeing that, that one little thing was a good thing, that there are members that have embraced this technology because they've had to?
Listen, nobody's happier right now than David Franco, my head IT, seeing all that great work he did to put a great mobile product out there, to get us signed up on Zelle, and all the technology that him and his team spent the time building, to see it now really get used. Mobile's a great example. We would do 600,000-700,000 a month in mobile deposits. That number grew pretty quickly to close to $1.5 million, and it's surprisingly it's remained there. So absolutely, I think for sure, getting them to understand the technology that's out there and what's available to them. And I mean, we're still not seeing the same branch traffic we were before, and I don't think we're going to. And I don't think that's just a safety issue. I think people figured out that it's more convenient to do things certain ways, which creates opportunities and challenges for us. So nice to see the investment pay off for that. And then, our lending team, lending didn't slow down. Lending picked up. I'm sure you're hearing it from other credit unions.
Yep.
It was a fabulous mortgage year. And so trying to keep that business rolling in terms of, appraisers going out and doing things electronically, and then closing, all the electronic closings and electronic signatures, and just getting them to be even more efficient, and members liking that. I mean, the feedback we've got was, this was a great experience, and we've gotten a number of referrals from members to other folks for mortgage opportunities. So yeah, I think we've learned a lot. I think we've learned a lot that will carry us into certainly into the future, because that pace of change it's not slowing down.
We take a quick break from our podcast to tell you about the Credit Union Business News online collaboration group. In 2020, I earned the privilege to be the producer and host of the Credit Union Business News podcast. It's been a blast to create and speak with a number of thought leaders both within and outside of the industry. It's that type of intelligent conversation that many of us missed with most, if not all, in-person conferences and events shut down possibly well into 2021 due to COVID-19. Sure, there are a number of quality online options to learn, but what about those conversations with your peers during the conference coffee breaks, during lunch, and at the end of the day over dinner? Some experts say that that is the most valuable aspect of attending any in-person event, much more so than the sessions themselves. That's why we created the Credit Union Business News online collaboration group. The program is based upon the concept of open space technology, a technique I've used successfully within the POCOA and other forums for years. It is, in essence, a formalized coffee break conversation. Would you like to learn more about being a part of it? Then why don't you join the executives that have already been collaborating together for months throughout the United States? To be eligible to be a guest or join what we call our Cub Collaborators group, you must be an executive of a credit union at the VP level at minimum. Contact me, Kbator, for more information or to be a guest during a future Cub Collaborators meeting. I can best be reached at Kbator, B-A-T-O-R, at btcinc.net or 714-681-2821. We're looking forward to having you join the conversation.
It's not slowing down.
Yeah, it's blowing my mind too, because you're exactly right. In most areas, lending has increased, and even from a personal standpoint, we're helping my mother-in-law sell her house, and realtors are like wolves. They all want the business because there's so little inventory, and there's people buying out there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's been, I mean, certainly it started with refis. We did a ton of refis, and then it's moved to purchase. And I think you're right. The only thing hampering the purchase volume right now is, especially in Long Island, is the inventory of houses that are out there. And people ask my advice. I say, I'll give you two pieces of advice. Get a pre-approval, because we do a full pre-approval. It's not just Joe Tedesco writing a letter and signing it. We do the free pre-approval, because no one's going to take you serious, and probably a realtor's not going to drive you around unless you've got some paper in your hand that says I qualify. Yeah. So you're going to make yourself you have a greater opportunity. And then the second thing is just make sure you get someone who can really get it done for you in a timely manner. You know, because people want to close. They want to close in 30 days. They want to close. You know, I mean, sellers don't want to wait around. They want to know how quick are we getting to the closing table? I want my money. So you got to get somebody who's efficient. You want to be sitting out there 60 days. That's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, since I see you're in your office, can you grab like a piece of paper or a Post-it note or something, right? You know, Joe Tedesco approves Kbator for, you know, $750,000 mortgage or more.
One and a quarter.
That'll work. Hey, I live out in California. That'll probably get me a 1-bedroom in some places.
I'll pay you a point towards your credit or your closing costs, all that kind of good.
There you go. But
and this is New York, and you're in California. You know the price of doing businesses.
Yeah. I was gonna say, before the NCUA gets on your back or mine, moving on. And I was thinking about this question as we were talking about I'll say surprising success of adoption of technology through this, because people had to. As you're emerging, and I knock wood, because as we talk, you know, unless a variant, you know, crawls, you know, up our behinds, you know, we're looking at the light at the end of the tunnel here for this pandemic. But as we emerge out of this, you know, how are we beginning to take steps to look different and look ahead, and especially in the sense that we're probably trying to combine old school and new school technology and service in what things are going to look like for the future. So what does that look like for Ocean Financial in the coming years?
You got it. So one of the things that I did when I came in, we really worked on vision, mission, statement, and really where we landed was, as a Catholic credit union, we talk about a lot of putting your heart into everything, having a servant type mentality and dealing with our members. And so one of the things we wanted to do was to just kind of rebrand around that mission statement. And so we came up with our members' Ocean Financial, our members' financial well-being is at the heart of all we do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great to say it, right? But then you gotta, to your BCS thing we talked about earlier, right? Then you gotta build the culture. And so to enable us to do that, we really focused in on what we are calling 4 pillars. The first one is around the safety for our members. And so we've seen a lot of that, but we've seen even more of that through the pandemic, right? With the frauds that are out there, and making sure that kind of what we talk about is making sure there's peace of mind for our
Sure.
members, the way to do it. And then the E is ease and simplicity. And as you talk about from a technology standpoint, it's a lot of times I think our members just didn't know how easy and simple it could be.
Yeah.
So a lot of it was just educating them and being more in the forefront with that messaging. And overarching this is really being more direct in our marketing, talking about the capabilities that we have, the benefits to the member, versus just kind of brand marketing that really, in my mind, wasn't telling members what we could do. And then the A was advice. And that's really for us around educating our members and helping them make educated decisions. So, we talked about the mortgage business. It's not hard to put pen to paper and figure out if your rate was 5.5 and I can get you 2.875, what that's going to mean to you in terms of cash flow and what that could mean over the life of that mortgage in terms of interest. But then it's also, is there other debt to roll in there? But it's like you said, how do we make your relationship more safe and more secure? How do we make it easier and simpler for you? And so what are the right things to do? And then the V in that ties into the value, right? It's as a credit union, for us, it's all about value for our members, creating value for our members. But what does that mean? That really means we need to focus on the benefits of the things we offer, the products and services, because people don't buy products and services, they buy the benefits, they buy what those products and services mean to them. And just so happens that I didn't put them in the right order, but the SAVE happens to spell save. And as a Catholic credit union, that's a pretty good acronym to remember. So, So we've done a lot of work around that in terms of educating our team members on how to deliver those 4 pillars. So that's creating the culture part. And then, and then you got to execute it. Then you got to have the tactics out there to be able to do it and have those conversations. So we're doing a lot of work with building skills and building knowledge and being able to provide that advice and do it in a way that that members accept and like. So, so for us, it was obviously a little delay. I like to roll up my sleeves and do workshops with team members and just role play things. And that was a little hard to do. So we've done that more virtually. A lot of those one-on-ones with our members we're offering those virtually too, if they want to talk with us over Zoom or just by phone or whatever we're doing with them. So I think for us, it's more of, so that financial well-being thing, when we rolled it out 2 years ago, when I got here, they were nice words and we were trying to bring them to life. But I think what COVID has done is really get to know that well-being for a lot of people is very, very fragile. And many of them, unfortunately, it broke. And so how do you get those people back on pace? You say that the path to financial wellness is a journey, and that journey is not always a straight line. So how are we helping members figure out where they got off track, where there's opportunities, where there's challenges? So that's a long answer, but everybody's unique, and we've just got to be having conversations. That's the key, I think.
It may be a long answer, but it's an insightful answer. It's also a simple answer in many ways. I tell people that the B plus C plus S isn't really that hard. It's just simply going back to the core. Now a word from our sponsor, Bator Training and Consulting. BTC is the creator of the B plus C plus S formula. Our clients that implement that formula increase their net income by 124% and grow their business by 17% on average. The best place to start working with Bator Training and Consulting is with our B plus C plus S audit. The service pinpoints issues as well as attributes of your business's unique brand, culture, and strategy. Learn more or sign up for a B plus C plus S audit at www.btcinc.net/BCS-audit. And I am very, very happy to say that, again, about 9 out of 10 credit unions that I've talked to in one capacity or another, whether they consciously or unconsciously did it through this time, they really re-embrace that mission, vision, core values to get them through all this. And a great segue to my next question, because I want to talk about PPP loans. I understand you do a lot of work with small businesses there, but I know from another community credit union about 3,000 miles away from you, they weren't even planning on doing anything like this, but literally, I want to say in like 24 hours, they figured out how to do PPP loans and not only help their own small business members in their community, but got a number of new members, not only from a small business capacity, but from a personal loan capacity because of them stepping up when another credit union in their area, frankly, was one of those 1 out of 10 that did not step up. So I'm finding a lot of stories that PPP loans have really helped to not only help the business of the credit union, but really strengthen and build new relationships. Did you find that as well at Ocean Financial?
I think one of the greatest things to come out of that, the whole thing, was the PPP thing. And so, we talk about strategy. The only thing we know about strategy is something will happen to blow it up, right? And so agility,
almost guaranteed.
Yeah, agility and flexibility were certainly the key. And so out comes PPP. And so, as I said, we're a Catholic credit union and we're affiliated. We work with the Diocese of Rockville Center, mainly through the parishes. And so at some point early in the process, somebody from the diocese got on the phone with business managers and some of the priests from the parishes and said, listen, you're eligible for these, and the first thing you need to do is to reach out to your financial institution and find out how you apply for a PPP. Mm-hmm. So the phones start ringing. And, at that point had read a little bit about it. My first question to my director, Lindy, was, are we SBA approved? And he said, I think we are. We haven't done any in a long time, but I think we are. We found out we were. So that was the first issue. And then we start digging in to try to figure out if we could do these. And I think, we had 3 choices. We could find somebody to refer them to. We could find a partner to work through. We could build the entire thing ourselves. Called around to some of my fellow credit unions, and they were, I don't think we're going to do this. I'm not sure we're going to do this. I knew I wasn't going to get TD to help me. So then I start worrying, well, now you feel a certain, I'm just going to say, you feel pressure to get it done for your parishes, right? So we have a lot of other small businesses that we work with that we did them for, but we knew what the parishes were going through. So we kind of, back to mission, we kind of made it a mission. And I'm very fortunate, and I have a very, very smart and determined director of lending. You always say, surround yourself with people who, have abilities and things that you don't have as a leader. Dan is very smart.
Yeah.
I won't say that the other side of me.
As the CEO, if you're the smartest guy or gal in the room, you're definitely in the wrong room. You got a major problem on your hands.
That's right. That's right. So, we just worked through it and we figured out. Now we have a partner. I'll give him a plug, Walter Kluwer, who had been working with us over the years on a lot of our disclosures. And all of a sudden I got an email and I said, here's a name we recognize and trust. We got on the phone with them and we got on their platform. And so we originated, worked through them. And I got to tell you, it was one of the most rewarding days I've had in 30 some years in this business, Ken, when we start pushing that button and those approvals started to come in. Yeah. I mean, just honestly, I'm telling you, it was one of the most emotional and valued days I've ever had in this business, to be able to make those phone calls to the small business owners, to the parishes, to be able to say, we're helping you with this. Listen, I'm not going to tell you that it's been easy, and you've probably, this, oh, yeah. Right? It's been, now how are we going to get them forgiven? Here comes round 2, which we've participated in. But I can tell you that we had some really good relationships with some parishes. But those relationships are stronger today than they've ever been, because we've helped them at a time of trouble. We had small relationships with a number of parishes that today now are much larger, closer relationships, and true partnerships, right? Where now we're working with them to try to help their parishioners. And we created a lot of great PR with the diocese, to the point where, they were going out to some of the other parishes to say, I know you haven't heard from XYZ Bank. I heard you word for XYZ Bank. You can put a second application in with Ocean Financial, and we were able to get those done for them. Yeah. So the parishes are a great example. I hate to say it, I've got a number of great letters that we've gotten from business managers. I might have a couple bottles of really nice bourbon over on my counter that I got sent, and thank you. I got a couple of nice bottles of wine, which I'll share with the team, by the way. But it was really rewarding. And most of the businesses that we did are small businesses, right? So they were $30,000, $20,000, $50,000 loans. I mean, they were not big, but for them, they were gigantic. For their employees, they were gigantic for us. So really, really rewarding. Frustrating at times, but really, really rewarding. It was great.
Yeah, not having worked at a credit union through all this personally, but I've heard at least a dozen stories similar to yours where it was, we have to do this, and it created a lot of stress and angst, not just on systems, but on people. I mean, I've heard more than one story of management being in the credit union at 1 a.m. trying to figure out, all right, well, these are coming in. Do we do this? I don't know. Let's give it a shot.
Yeah. No, you think about stress on a lending team, and so think about what was going on for forbearances, right? They were flooding in, had to process those, and make good decisions around those. Mortgage volume picked up tremendously as rates plummeted. We're trying to figure out how to do PPP. And by the way, the way we did things prior in terms of appraisals and title and all that stuff, that blew up. So, I hope they will listen to this, but Dan Gusk and Marie Rullo and my lending team, fabulous work in 2020 and into 2021.
Well, they'll be able to listen or watch this on several different channels, so hopefully they will.
We will. We'll get them on, because I want them to hear that. They deserve it.
You could put it on YouTube in the branch at several TVs and just have it on a roll. But
we can do that. We can do that. We have that capability.
There you go. You probably already answered this, but I think that it's important to drive this home. Is what is maybe the number one thing coming out of this that you learned at Ocean Financial? Well, that one thing that you're going to say, hey, we can take this nugget, and even at times, maybe in 2025, when something else comes around and you say, you know what, we handled the pandemic, we can handle this.
I think, the member credit unions, it's about the member, right? I mean, if you're drawing something up and trying to put, what's that North Star, what's that number one thing, right? It's about the member and trying to help the members through, the challenges that they have, the fear, the peace of mind, all that stuff. But that said, is you're not going to get that done unless you take care of your employees. And so when everybody kind of went off to their far corners of their living room and basements and all that stuff, right? You lose that contact. You lose the ability to say, "Hey, Ken, how are you doing? How are you doing today? How's your family?" Because if you're not taking care of them, so I think you sit there and try to put members or employees. It really is.
Yep.
It's this, and then the rest of it comes, the technology part, and the rest of it comes. But if you keep that in the forefront, I think that's the key. That's the key.
Yeah, I think a lot of organizations, not just credit unions, and I've seen this as well, that you learn that you could still build a culture and camaraderie through Zoom and Microsoft Teams, even though you can't do the ubiquitous pat on the back.
Right. Yeah, we missed our this place has a great tradition of doing a company picnic every year, and family come, board members come. We couldn't do that this year. We did a great Christmas party, and that, again, getting to spend time with spouses and get to know them a little bit more. You lose all that, unfortunately.
Well, maybe this Christmas you'll be able to have it.
I'm open picnic, even if it's a little bit later in the year. I mean, I don't know. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful around this thing. I mean, you got to be safe and you got to be smart, but I do think you can do that in a way. I just hope we keep going in the right direction.
Yeah, let's target August for that picnic, because I know New York a little bit. September may or may not happen for you, depending on the weather.
That's right. That's right.
Joe, I so enjoyed our conversation today. Great story on Ocean Financial. You guys should really be proud of yourselves and what you accomplished. And thanks for spending some time with me today.
You got it. I appreciate it. And I do appreciate the little research I did on your BCS. Not that you said it earlier, right? It's not, I hate to say it, this business is not rocket science.
Right.
But it's a formula that kind of took me back. And I said, we kind of did that. Maybe didn't think about it, and maybe those words were a little different, or the exact order is different. But so every now and then, it's not maybe what you didn't know before. It's the refresh and the kind of recommitment around it. So I appreciate that one.
Yeah, I thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, there's nothing in that book that is necessarily a mind blower. But all it does is put things together in certain categories. And I found several times, even clients that I've begun to work with at the beginning, they're already doing B+C+S, which is simply brand culture strategy. They just didn't have a context.
They didn't know.
But yeah, I'll close with this. I'm a big Stephen Covey fan. I wish he was still with us. But whether it's B+C+S or Good to Great or any of those great business books out there, a lot of it, and I would say probably over 90% of it, is common sense. But as Stephen Covey said, common sense isn't always common practice.
Yeah. No, it's the reason why we read those things several times throughout our careers, right? I mean, there's a number of the ones that you mentioned I've read 5 or 6 times.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's why I've got 7 Habits. Not only I still have the CDs. I actually have a car that still has a CD player. Maybe I need to talk to a credit union and buy a new car.
You fit our charter.
Even in California, because I'm Catholic. Cool. Well, I'll give you a call. Joe, thank you so much for spending some time with us. I really appreciated the conversation.
Thank you, Ken.
Thank you. And thank you to all of you in our audience who have either watched or listened to this episode of the Credit Union Business News Podcast. And we'll be back with you next week with another great episode. Thank you for listening to the Credit Union Business News Podcast. Learn more about credit union business news at creditunionbusiness.com. Suggestions for the Credit Union Business News Podcast can be directed to Tim O'Hara at tim@cubusiness.com or Ken Bator at Kbator, Bator, at btcinc.net. To learn more about this episode's sponsor, please go to btcinc.net.